winners? Let the pros show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a regular contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the online betting industry. Together, they lead PickNation.com, your number one source for winners.
Hey guys, Al DeMarco here along with Steve Budin. Welcome back to the Pick Nation Report, the second 30 minutes. We've got lots of games to start breaking down for you from a point spread perspective because that's what we do on the Pick Nation Report. We're the only nationally televised show to do that for you every single Sunday. You see us on DirecTV, you see us on Dish Network, you see us on various regional cable systems throughout the country, and of course at foxsports.com. Remember, if you missed any portion of the first half of the show, you can catch it in its entirety over on picknation.com. As promised, let's look at one of the two marquee games today. We had Trace Adams, one of our handicappers, on back in the first half hour out of Atlanta. He went with the Jets, getting the 9 points in this contest. New England, a 9-point favorite, total of 49 in this game. Of course, last year, regular season, the home team won and covered both. Matter of fact, that Monday night blowout, that 45-3 whipping that the Patriots put on was my biggest play of the year last year in the NFL. But we know what happened in the postseason. The Jets had that game circled. They went into Foxborough. They absolutely owned New England that day. I said earlier in the show that, I thought that they had to inflate this number to this point because, A, everybody and their brother knows the Patriots are out to avenge that loss in the playoffs, and everybody and their brother knows that the Jets are playing their third straight on the road, and they've looked horrible doing so. Losing at Oakland, no defense against Darren McFadden that day. Last week, basically allowing Baltimore's defense to dominate the game. They had 150 total yards of offense, and 3 Mark Sanchez turnovers led directly to 3 touchdowns for the Ravens. Kind of curious your thoughts here on the game and which way to go with it.
Well, I've been saying on the show here for the last few weeks that the Jets are a complete fake, and I believe that's the case. And Trace, what he said is a lot like what I'm hearing from Jet fans, that the Jets are bad, they've played bad, but they're a lot better than what we've seen. They're a lot better team than what we've seen. I say if you got to believe what you hear or believe what you see, you should always believe what you see. The Jets are bad. That's what you see, and that's what it is. This New England team is a very good team. True, they're having their problems on defense, but they're going to score 50 points. How are you going to score that many points when you've got Mark Sanchez and you're unwilling to throw the ball down the field? You see him throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. Their favorite play is where the receiver fakes like he's going downfield. He runs 3 yards back, catches the ball and looks to run. When you throw that ball laterally, when it gets intercepted, it's a pick 6. When you throw it 30 yards down the field and it gets intercepted, it's just like a punt. So I would say here, while this is a must-win for the Jets, their whole season depends on it, and they know it. You got to feel like they're going to bring everything they possibly have this week, and it makes the 9 points compelling, but the bookies know that. And the bookies are begging you to take the 9 here. This is a game that should be 6.5, 7. It's 9 for a reason. And when the bookies beg you to take points, you better lay them.
Hey, listen, guys, this is the man who created the offshore sportsbook industry that you know now today. This is a guy whose father was one of the preeminent bookkeepers in this country for over a quarter of a century. Wholeheartedly agree with everything you say. This is a trap play, a sucker play. They're begging you. They'll make this 9.5 probably some places, make it even more attractive. They're begging you to take the Jets in this game. And you're right, where Tom Brady goes vertically, he stretches the field. The Jets, whether Sanchez doesn't have the talent or they just refuse to take the handcuffs off of him. Occasionally, you'll see him throw 20 yards deep to Santonio Holmes. But otherwise, they've got no attack. And true, Patriots, am I alarmed they gave up 504 yards last week on the road? Yeah, I'm a little alarmed by that. But, again, I think there's a reason the home team's on a 5-1 ATS run in this series, and I think the Patriots are the only way to play it. And listen, guys, you might want to consider a teaser with New England. This is a great number, 9 points, 2-team teaser, 6 points. You're saying New England's only got to win by 3 to 4 points at home, depending on what your closing price is? They're going to win this game. They're going to cover in a teaser.
Especially if you're Trace Adams and you like Seattle getting 9.5. It's a great team to hook up with it. Now, I don't like Seattle, and I wouldn't make that teaser. But if you're Trace Adams and you like those two teams, It's a great two teams for a teaser.
And let's talk about the Seattle-New York Giants game because Trace had
the new team in New York again.
Yes, Seattle. Trace had Seattle as his play, and I don't see it. I don't understand why you would want to take Seattle in this game. Okay, I look at the fact, and I acknowledge the fact that the Giants were down 27-17 at Glendale, Arizona last week against the Phoenix Cardinals. But then in that last quarter, I mean, Eli Manning has just played great all season long. 2 touchdown passes in a 58-second span. They really came on strong late in that game. They managed to win that contest, 31-27. It was their 3rd straight win. Anytime a team can come and rally from double digits down on the road, that's a momentum shifter. And this team has momentum on its side, having won 2 prior to winning against Arizona as well. I think this is the play here. I am not at all worried about a Seattle team. If you just look at the final score and you see Seattle lost 30-28 to Atlanta, you're going, my God, they gave the Falcons a hell of a battle. They were down 27-7 in the 3rd quarter, and the Falcons have no defense. And I mentioned earlier in the show that, Seattle has no offensive line protection for Tavares Jackson. Sacked 13 times in the first 3 games, none last week against Atlanta, but the Falcons don't rush the quarterback. Giants are going to come after this guy.
As a former bookmaker, I look at this game differerly. Even though we just talked about a game, Jets-Patriots, where you had a home team, 9.5-point favorites. Same scenario here, home team, 9.5-point favorites. The difference is there are plenty of Jets bettors out there. There are no Seattle bettors. So the bookmakers are inflating this line. They don't think you're going to bet Seattle. They think you're going to bet New York. And they know you're going to bet New York, so they want you to lay as many points as possible. The key here is that even a broken clock is right twice a day. The general public sometimes gets it right. And in this case, they got it right. Big Blue gets the win.
Yeah, and I've talked many times about how when underdogs are covering in a consistent clip, sports books are making money in Vegas and gamblers are generally losing their shirts. But here we are going into week number 5. Okay, the underdogs are 7 games over 500. I didn't say 70. I said 7 games over 4 weeks of action. I agree with you. The way to go here is to lay the points. I happened to be in Tampa last week, so I happened to catch the Buccaneers game against the Colts. Now you've got Tampa Bay going cross-country, short week, did not play well, as I mentioned earlier, against Indianapolis, taking on a San Francisco team that returns home after a road sweep of Cincinnati, coming back at Philadelphia. They'd be 4-0 if they didn't choke against Dallas Cowboys. I kind of like what Harbaugh's doing. I kind of like the 49ers here laying the field goal.
I agree. I mean, we know that Tampa Bay's Road Warriors won 10 out of 11 straight up, and they're getting points here. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I would have to agree with you. I don't think they're going anywhere against this team.
Yeah, and, San Francisco's on a 12-5-2 run against the spread at home. Frank Gore, they really got the ground game going against Philadelphia. Of course, you and I can run for 80 yards against Philadelphia.
Well, they're improving on both sides of the ball each week, it seems like.
Yeah, and Gore last week, 15 carries, 127 yards. When he is productive, that takes all the pressure off of Alex Smith. And what I like what Harbaugh has done, he's really reined in Alex Smith. Now, there's a guy who needs to be handcuffed because you don't want him throwing the ball down to field too often, but just dink and dunk it and play conservatively, and San Francisco has been able to win that way, and it certainly worked. And
Good
again,
coach.
And it's not that Tampa Bay is that bad of a team. But that short week, playing at home on Monday and then going cross-country, that is a killer. You lose a day and a half of practice and prep time, and more importantly, you lose a day and a half of recovery time, especially for your defense, which was on the field a lot against Indianapolis. So even though Tampa Bay is on a 10-1 ATS run on the road, I think this is a case that you go ahead, take San Francisco. I would buy down the hook off of 3, and you go with the 49ers in this particular spot. Guys, remember, you missed any portion of the show, you can catch it in its entirety on PickNation.com. And when Steve and I return, we're going to be continuing to break down all of your games from a point spread perspective. And, of course, we've got a big one coming up the Sunday night, probably the first great Sunday night game of the year as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be your game with the Packers and Atlanta Falcons. You've already, Mr. Jet over here, Mr. Born and Bred Green, has already gone against his Jets, but I'm very interested to see which way you are considering going here on the contest between the Falcons and the Packers. So as I said, guys, more games to break down in just a moment. So stay tuned and join us after the break for more of today's Pick Nation Report.